What's the one thing that connects a lost wallet, a record-breaking home run ball, and the entire landmass of a country? Well, it all comes down to a legal idea that sounds almost childishly simple: possession. But this one concept, the very root of finders, keepers, losers, weepers, is actually one of the most powerful and complex forces in the entire legal world. It seems so simple on the surface, but as we're about to see, its implications are massive, and they shape the world around us in ways you probably never expected. This old poem, it just gets right to the heart of the matter, doesn't it? This is the first come, first served of the legal world, the raw, fundamental rule of capture. But what happens when first was thousands and thousands of years ago? This simple rule is the key, and it's going to take us from the high seas right into the highest courts in the land. So here's our game plan for connecting all these dots. First, we're going to tackle the basic idea of what it even means to possess something. Then we'll see it in action with that classic finders-keepers scenario. From there, we're going to scale things up, like way up, to see how possession defines land rights that are older than the country of Canada itself. And finally, we'll look at what these powerful ideas mean for all of us today. All right, let's dive right into Section 1, the puzzle of possession. So what does it really mean to possess something? You might think you know the answer, but I guarantee the law has a few surprises up its sleeve. You've probably heard that old saying, possession is 9/10 of the law. Well, this is where it comes from, a quote from Lord Mansfield. And just think about what that really means for a second. If you're holding something, the legal default is that it's yours. The burden isn't on you to prove you own it. The burden is on everyone else in the entire world to prove they have a better right. That is a massive advantage, and it's why possession is such a powerful starting point in any legal fight. So here's the legal breakdown of it all. The two magic words you need to remember are control and intent. See, it's not enough to just be physically holding an object. You have to be able to control it, and you have to intend to keep other people from using it. The law doesn't see possession as just one thing. It sees it as a whole bundle of rights that you hold over that object. And the law, of course, gets super specific with these fancy old Latin terms. On one side, you've got animus possidendi. That's what's going on inside your head, that this is mine mindset. On the other side, you've got factum, which is the physical reality, you actually controlling the thing. And you absolutely need both. You can't just think about owning a car to possess it, and you can't just be sitting in some random car on the street to possess it either. You need the thought and the action. Okay, so we've got the theory down. Mind and matter, intent and control. Now, let's put it to the test in a situation we've all daydreamed about. You find something valuable just lying on the street. It's time to explore that age-old rule of finders keepers, and oh boy, does it have some surprising legal twists. And this brings us right to the big question everybody asks. Is that old playground chant, finders keepers, losers weepers, actually the law? Well, the answer is kind of, but it is so much more nuanced and frankly more interesting than you might think. All right, this slide really gets into the official rules, and they are fascinating. First, and this is the most important part, a finder's right is good against the whole world except for the original true owner. This leads to a really key legal idea called relative title. The court isn't trying to find the one true owner on planet Earth, it's just asking, between these two people in front of me, who has the better claim? Now here's where it gets wild. Even a dishonest finder has a better claim than someone who comes along later and just takes the item from them. The law prioritizes the first person to possess something, even if they're not perfect, just to stop it from becoming a total free-for-all. And finally, context is everything. Finding a wallet on the floor of a shop is legally very different from digging one up in your backyard. This all came to a head in maybe one of the weirdest cases in sports law history, the fight over Barry Bonds' record-breaking home run ball. So a fan named Popov catches the ball, but he's immediately swallowed up by a huge mob. In all that chaos, another fan, Hayashi, sees the ball lying loose and picks it up. So, who owns it? The judge was completely stumped. Popov had the intent to possess, but the mob stopped him from having full control. So the court literally invented a new legal idea right there on the spot, a pre-possessory right. They said Popov's effort was illegally interfered with, which gave him a claim. In the end, they made them sell the ball and split the money. It's just a perfect example of how the law has to bend and adapt when the simple rules of possession turn out to be not so simple after all. That baseball case showed us that possession isn't just about what you're holding in your hand. It's about history, it's about intent, and it's about what's fair.
Now I want you to take that exact same set of problems and just scale it way, way up. We're going from a leather ball worth maybe $1 million to land that has been home to a people for thousands of years. This is where the law of possession gets truly profound.
Now, it might seem like a huge jump, but legally speaking, it's a straight line. Those very same principles we've been talking about, control, intent, having a claim that's better than anyone else's, are the legal bedrock for what we call Aboriginal title in Canada. The core question is identical. Who possessed this land first, before the Crown even showed up on the scene? And believe me, this has been a long, slow evolution in Canadian law. The journey really kicks off with a royal proclamation way, way back in 1763, which was the first time it was officially acknowledged that Indigenous peoples had rights to land. But for centuries, that was a right without a real remedy. It took until 1997, in the landmark Delgamuukw case, for the Supreme Court to finally spell out a legal test for how to prove that title. And even then, it took another 17 years, until the Tsilhqot'in Nation case in 2014, for a court to officially grant a declaration of Aboriginal title to a specific territory for the very first time. I mean, this is a legal story that has unfolded over 250 years. This leads us right into Section 4, defining Aboriginal land rights, which poses this huge central legal puzzle. How can a group possibly prove possession of land that they've held since time immemorial, using a legal system that was designed for totally different ideas about ownership? So to solve that puzzle, the Supreme Court created this three-part test. First, an Indigenous nation has to prove sufficient occupation from before the Crown asserted sovereignty. And the court was actually really smart about this. It recognized that a nomadic hunting people would occupy land very differently than a farming community would. Second, that occupation has to be continuous. They have to show an unbroken connection to the land from that time all the way to today. And third, it had to be exclusive. And this goes right back to that idea of intent. They have to show that they had the intention and the ability to control the land and decide who was allowed to be there. Now, this is a super important point to get. Aboriginal title is not the same thing as owning a house. The title to your house is what's called common law title. You can sell it to anyone you want. It was originally a grant from the government, from the Crown. Aboriginal title is the complete opposite. It's a right that existed before the Crown. It's held collectively by the whole community, not by individuals. And it can only ever be sold or given up to the Crown and no one else. That's why the law calls it sui generis. It's totally unique, in a class all by itself. So let's move into our final section, Section 5, Possession in Modern Law. We've established this really unique, one-of-a-kind form of title. So what does it actually mean for Canada right now, today? So what does having this title actually mean on the ground? Well, it is powerful. It gives the nation the right to decide how the land is used and to enjoy the economic benefits that come from it. But it comes with this incredible built-in responsibility called an inherent limit. The nation has to manage the land in a way that doesn't destroy its value for their future generations. And this last point is huge. Even on lands where title is just claimed but hasn't been proven in court yet, the government has a constitutional duty to consult with the Indigenous group before something like a pipeline or a mine can go ahead. This duty has completely changed the game for resource development in Canada. So there you have it. We started with the simple, almost childlike idea of finders keepers. And we saw how that one single concept of being the first one to possess something scaled all the way up from a lost wallet to a baseball in a chaotic crowd to becoming the legal foundation for Aboriginal land rights that are literally reshaping the country. It's a powerful reminder that the biggest, most complex legal questions often grow from the simplest human rules. And the evolution of this one idea, possession, is going to continue to define our relationship with property, with our history, and with each other.